8:30. At 55 KRCD Talk Station, a very happy Monday to you, and welcome back from the great Commonwealth of Kentucky, Senator Rand Paul. Great to have you back on the program, Senator Paul.
Good morning, Brian. Good to be with you.
Interesting week. I'm curious to know, because I've been puzzling over myself, Barack Obama in a seemingly desperation mode as he moved into the fall. We had the war on women that was trumped up. We now have a fake war on the students that apparently seems to be bipartisan agreement that nobody wants the rates to go up, yet he's out stirring the pot, and now he's taking credit for assassinating Osama bin Laden and saying Mitt Romney wouldn't have done it if he was president at the time, which now he's arguing in a factual vacuum or arguing in a negative. Comments on this?
Well, as long as he doesn't have to talk about the 12 million people out of work, maybe that's a good strategy. You know, he needs to explain to the American people, though, why, 12 million people are still out of work. We're in a housing depression, and government continues to consume more and more of the pie. So if he doesn't want to talk about that, he's going to have to talk about extraneous issues, and I guess that's what the campaign will be about.
Sadly, and I just am hoping that the American population is smart enough to see through it, because I look at it and scratch my head and puzzle over, is he that desperate that he would rely on these things to campaign on? And the answer, I suppose, is yes.
But I think there'll be a big test, and the big test of this election is, do a majority of Americans still believe in the American dream? Do they believe that we should have a country that allows people to work hard, get an education, and succeed? Or are we going to accept the president's message that your neighbor's got 3 cars and he'll go over and get one of them for you?
I like the way you put that, Senator Paul. Now, obviously, given the current situation, the employment figures, the situation has not gotten any better of the term that Barack Obama has been in office, in spite of his protestations to the contrary. The stimulus packages that have been passed have not worked. Therefore, one might make a reasonable argument that, hey, why not give the Republicans an opportunity? And in the House of Representatives, they have passed a multitude of bills, characterized as jobs bills or, correct the problem issues, but Harry Reid won't let you vote on any of them.
Well, the thing that people have to analyze and decide where they come down on this is they have to decide who creates jobs. Do they believe government's going to create a useful job for them, or do they believe that the private sector does? And who do they want to have more of their money? Do they want the government to have more or the private sector? I tell people in my speeches often that if you had $100 and you wanted to help somebody, who was poor or who didn't have food, would you give it to the Salvation Army or the federal government? Nobody wants to give it to the federal government because they think it is abused, it is wasted, and it is sucked up by bureaucrats up here in Washington making $200 grand a year dispensing the favors. You got GSA agents going to Las Vegas and partying down on your money. We actually dispersed $600 million in the last 5 years to dead people. So you don't want to spend your money up here.
Well, exactly, and of course you have the carrying cost and the transaction cost, because once the money is liberated from somebody's paycheck, it goes there. If you're lucky enough to get anything back, it's reduced by 1/3 because of government bureaucracy, and then whatever money you get back is carries with all these unbelievable regulatory and employment and everything other kind of restriction that the federal government sticks onto or adds to the dollars it returns. So it's doubly bad in terms of an investment.
And it's a message that people need to realize when they see that the head of the GSA, when they see him in the South Pacific sipping wine with his wife for 17 days in the South Pacific, they need to be up in arms, angry. But the solution is don't send the money up here. Take care of most problems locally. Doesn't mean that government won't get involved in certain situations, but let's do it in your local cities and your states. But Washington really shouldn't be given much responsibility because we've got too much up here. We're borrowing $50,000 a second, and the money we spend, we can't even guarantee we don't send it to dead people.
How is it, it's funny to observe that everyone knows that money is going to dead people, yet nothing ever gets to be done over it. But that's an aside. Can I ask you, in the Senate, since you work so closely with so many Democrats, and of course Harry Reid's not advancing any of these House bills that have been sent over, in spite of how sound some of them are, and if they have an objection, why not just go ahead and vote no for it so we can move on? But be that as it may, you mentioned the amount of money we borrow every second. We can see it in the total that have been borrowed to date. We all understand the problems of the entitlement programs being broke and almost impossible to fix. What did the Democrats say in response to the math that absolutely does not work out the way they argue in public that it will?
I'll give you an example of one senator. I'm standing next to the senator on the floor, and Mike Lee, who's one of the heroes up here from Utah, he and I are talking, and a senator comes up and she says to us, well, I have a good proposition for you guys. I know you don't like to spend money. This won't cost anything. And so we start listening to her, and a fourth senator walks up and she says, what do you care what it costs? It doesn't matter. Just vote for it if you like it.
Oh.
That's their attitude. Some of them absolutely don't care about the deficit and don't think it's a problem. They say we print more money, no big deal. And but some of them are more concerned. I'd say on the Senate side, there's 53 Democrats. There's probably 5 or 6 who are concerned about the deficit and think that there are repercussions to what we're doing to the country. But even those 5 or 6, they toe the party line so much and keep lockstep with what Harry Reid wants that there are probably 10 or 15 bills we could agree on, but they won't allow them to come up for votes.
And this is a point I made this morning, Senator Paul. My view of elected officials in D.C., House and Senate, you should keep the nation as a whole in the forefront of your mind and not this state that you come from or your own personal interest. I guess it's maybe just a little bit of a pipe dream for me, but...
even above that, not only that it's everybody's concern, the country belongs to everybody, but that really your country's concern should be above your party's concern. And so we have a lot of empty partisanship up here, and that's really the problem.
Well, Senator Paul, all I can suggest is anytime you hear that again, just point out Europe and what's going on in Europe. Next time they think it doesn't matter and that deficits don't mean anything and that we just print our way into financial stability, it hasn't worked in Europe and things are getting worse.
Yeah, I'm hoping a few of these people will threaten to move to Europe if we win the election like they did that one time, and then maybe we can encourage them to move to Europe.
Senator Rand Paul, I wish you the best. Thanks to the Commonwealth of Kentucky for electing you, and I can't imagine you doing anything but echoing my concerns. We need to elect fiscally responsible members to the House and the Senate, first and foremost.
Absolutely, and you got an election coming up. It's going to be a real contrast. We need more. We need more reinforcements up here.
Senator Paul, we'll send them to you. Thanks very much for your time today, and I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you.
838, 55 KRCD Talk Station. We'll continue with Nathan Backrack and Ed Finn coming up after this Fox 19 Storm Tracker forecast. Partly sunny with a risk of rain and storms in the afternoon, 81 for a high. We'll have a strong thunderstorm risk between 7 and midnight with showers hanging around after midnight. 62 overnight low. Tuesday, sun cloud mix with a risk of storms in the evening and 78 for a high. It's 56 now at 55 KRC, the Talk Station.
Northbound 275 is improving past 28. There was an accident that was in the center lane for a bit. They're now over on the right shoulder. On northbound 75, traffic continues heavy from north of Buttermilk to the Brent's Fence with a broken down north of 5th Street in Cummington that has the left lane blocked. Southbound 71 off and on slope from 275.